All right, it is a Monday stream. Actually, getting to 3 streams a week. I said that last week, and I'm a man of my word. Keeping to the three a week now. So we're gonna get a little bit more of me over here. You'll probably get sick of me, but hey, that's all right. We're gonna get some progress done. Today's stream's over Rust in Windows with code signing, and then probably looking at some PRs and little things we got going on here. So it'll be a fun one. I've already tinkered around. I've been really hitting the programming pretty hard, learning quite a bit, and I am just in love with it. I don't know. It's just like the honeymoon phase when you first start something. So we'll see how long I can stick with this, but I am just enamored by a lot of the different things that developers go through, which, just I didn't really have a clue before I really started this journey. So that's kind of what this is. This Rust program I made right here, I'll walk through it here in a second, but it has been easy and a little too easy. And we'll go through kind of exactly what all it's doing and stuff, and kind of go through some of the shenanigans in Windows too on how executables work, because it's really something I didn't understand how corrupt the industry was until I actually started doing it. And then I was like, oh, wow, this is like gatekeeping at its finest. So we'll go through a little bit of code signing too. I've made a video in the past about it, but it's gotten really weird in just the past year with some like the FIDO requirements and other weird, strange things that I've had to delve into and figure out. And also some CI/CD actions I've implemented this past weekend, which made my head explode. So we'll go into all that. But first, let's check in with chat here. How's everybody doing? We got Kang, thanks for the prime. Calum, Kang, geez, so good to see you guys. It has been so much fun doing all this and kind of pulling everybody along for the ride. Roars over windows. The market is crashing. What time is? Oh. What is markets crashed? Oh, I did not know. I kind of think we were overdue for a crash, weren't we? I don't really keep up with that too much. I'm more of a buy and hold kind of guy. I'll check in here in 10 years. I bet it's better. I'm a long-term kind of guy. Yeah. Oh, so much fun. Good time to buy. Yeah, that's true. It's kind of funny. I don't want to get into finance or anything. That's a dirty industry, especially when it comes to social media. Ugh, goodness. But geez, they say that I think if you hold for 5 years, you're pretty much good. But most of the gains you make will be in like 10 or 12 days, within like 2 weeks. So trying to time it is like impossible unless you're like an inside trader or a congressman. Same thing. Yeah, and we're gonna do Tuesday too, Nav, so that'll be fun. Yeah, we'll go through some of the PRs too. We'll go through yeah. I'm sure my 401k is crashing, but like I said, I'm young. I'm only in my 40s. We'll worry about that when like 60 approaches. CrowdStrike is in charge of the S&P 500. That's what it tells me. Oh no. Oh goodness, that's pretty funny. Yeah, so yeah, the first thing I kind of wanted to go into, well actually I'm kind of curious now that you link that. That's going to be the thumbnail for this stream video. I spent all of 2 bits. I'm going to be a little bit out of it, guys, just because I have been, oh my word. Oh, look at Bitcoin and stuff over here too. Oh, that is a bloodbath, man. Careful. Somebody break out the nets along the skyscrapers in New York. Yikes. Oh, that's rough. Well, anyways, that's unfortunate. I'm sure it'll bounce back. Just, we'll see. We'll see. Oh, but yeah, so sorry. Yeah, I'm just getting back from a trip. So I just drove to Oklahoma yesterday and then stayed with a good buddy of mine. Caught up on some much needed just chill time with him, old childhood friend of mine. Played some old Diablo 2 Resurrected. And then drove back this morning. So I am totally out of it. So we'll see how well this stream pops off. But I think we'll have a good time regardless. And then Saturday and Friday, I dedicated about 20 hours to just kind of diving into this monster, which was kind of fun. So I wanted the whole idea for the stream with the EXE on Windows Toolkit, which if we come over here, I want to say, let's pull up this. What I did was I wanted to do like a whole new wrapper for the toolbox. And do I have it in here? I don't think I do. Let's see. Oh yeah, I do. So what I wanted to do was make a whole brand new self-contained executable. And what that does, oh God, see, I wanted to test this on here. So I'm still flagging it as a Trojan just because it runs a PowerShell script. I wanted to see wrapping it and if Rust changed this at all. And it really doesn't. And I've submitted it to all the virus scanners and they still are like, hey, it's a virus because it launches PowerShell. So, bummer. But I made an exclude folder. What I like to do too, if you ever want to get around Defender, instead of disabling your antivirus, you can make like an exclude folder to work in that doesn't get scanned on incoming. So that's what I usually do, is just make an exclude folder and then go into Windows Defender and just say, hey, don't scan this folder. Just if I'm testing something. And basically what this Rust executable did was I wanted to, one, self-contain the icon in it. And then I also wanted to, oh, there's no digital signature on this one. I want to say I do have a digital signature. 1 second. Maybe it was this guy. Let's copy this guy. This is 618. This one's 606. So maybe I was messing around. Let's replace that. I think this one has my digital signature. Yeah. So this is the digital signature that I kind of wanted to do. This is code signing. And code signing is kind of gatekeeping, is what I mentioned at the very start of the stream. And we'll get into some of that too, which is weird. Because code signing, cross-compiling through like an Arch system, super interesting. Yeah. So I'm cross-compiling the executable from Linux as well, Starman. And I got the whole idea from the Linux from Scratch stream. You remember how I like freaked out? I was like, Linux from Scratch is just for people with no lives. But it's I don't think Linux from Scratch is more like an academic or knowledge endeavor kind of thing. I said that kind of tongue-in-cheek, so please, the literal people out there, don't throw rocks at me. I was joking, but halfway joking. And really what I wanted to do was, what I learned from that is you can cross-compile pretty much on any platform to any platform with a lot of programming languages. And cross-compiling's actually gotten really freaking easy, like super easy. It took me like, I think an hour maybe, or not even that. I think it was like 30 minutes of kind of just hacking around to get cross-compiling to go from Arch to Windows and then have it like a cohesive program, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, I wonder, it's kind of fun on that. So, yeah, one thing I did just to kind of showcase this was on the Linux box. I made this, and what this executable wrapper is. Like, it's just for people that like donate to the project and just say, hey, Titus, we like what you're doing with Windows Utility. Here's $10. And I'm like, hey, here's a simple executable you can kind of keep around and just toss on computers and then run it easily without having to right click, run as admin, and then type in the IRM command, which is right here. That's all this is doing, is just running that command from PowerShell. And what I did with this executable is there's a little bit of if logic in the Rust script here. And what it is it's like, hey, is PWSH there, which is PowerShell core, PowerShell 7 as well, AKA. And then if it's not, go ahead and drop to PowerShell. If it's like Windows 10, you'll probably have PowerShell 5, not PowerShell 7, unless it was installed via my script in the prior run. But it'll run regardless, and basically just make like a right click, run as admin, executable, you can go anywhere. As far as the build goes, that cross compile I talked about, this is it. This is the entire program. And I was like, wow, so small, so simple. It's only like 600 kilobytes at the end of it. The only thing I'm pulling in is PowerShell script and WinRes for the dependencies, and also embed resource for the icon embedding directly into it. So that's it. And then at the end, what it does is just creates this guy right here, and you'll see it's only a 600 kilobit file, and that's it. And then I digitally sign it. So we'll get into code signing too, which is kind of crazy. Let me pull up chat again. Kind of like double chat, but did I miss anything? I don't think I have. Just wanted to warn you, my drift has a huge PR, not finished. Oh God. All right, yeah, I'll check it out, Caleb. I don't think we'll get to a huge PR today, but we may. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I kind of wanted to approach that too, and just kind of say, hey, let's see if I see some kind of simple thing. I kind of wanted to just run it and see how it goes. The old executable I did was in C#, and I really didn't like it. And I feel like the Rust executable was way easier to build, way less code, and the libraries were so much smaller. And I think the C# one obviously is a skill issue as well. When I did it, I hacked around and got that wrapper set up, and it could have been a lot better. So Anonymous, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Yeah, my drifts is mainly docs. Okay. Have you been reading your Rust book? I have. I think I'm in like chapter 6 now. So I'm just slowly getting through that, and I'll probably be going through, tabbing it out as I go along. I don't have it near me in the studio here. It's beside my bed, but I slowly just kind of tab it out. So then when I'm coding and I need to reference something, I can easily just go to the tab that I've already put, because I write on the kit tab and I'm like, hey, cargo issues or whatever that is, and then I create a tab for it. Or I'm like, hey, build. I'll put like a build or cross compile type thing if I see like a chapter about that. And that makes it really easy to reference that book while I'm coding, which is really nice. And then I usually like to look at examples, documentation, and also I'll even watch a couple of YouTube videos here and there. But it's basically just kind of take a whole bunch of stuff, throw it at the wall, and just see what sticks. And that's kind of how I learn, is just more of a scattershot approach with experience. The big thing is you just learn by doing, and you just got to get out there and do it. I don't think courses or like paying for a course is worth it, unless it's like you go to a place or something maybe. But even in like a college course, I feel like you could just learn it so much faster if you just did it by yourself. At least in my mind, that's just how I work. Everybody's a little different, and that's just how I go for it. It's still getting flagged, Dathis, because of the signature on AV. So let's talk about code signing, because I think there's some... I mentioned gatekeeping earlier. Let's go. Komodo is probably the biggest name in the industry. Signing. So we'll just go Komodo SSL store, sure. And we'll go code signing, Komodo EV signing. So this is basically roughly what you're looking at. You'll probably go with the 3-year. You can't go any more than 3 years, so it's 3 years at a time, and you're going to pay $864. Now, I made a video about code signing. Gosh, I think it was like a year or two ago, and I was like complaining about it. Well, it got like way worse since I did that video. So what I used to do in the code sign I currently have is just a standard code signing, otherwise known as an OV, or standard validation code signing. And it is now $219 a year. When I bought mine 3 years ago, roughly, about a 2.5 years ago, this code signing was $80 a year. So it tripled in price, and more gatekeeping happens. So why do you need a signature or signing? One, so you can be trusted. This is mainly Windows we're talking about. If you're a Mac user or you're a Linux user, code signing is not really that important. There's other ways to sign. You don't have to actually pay your ransom to these people. And Microsoft perpetrates all this too with extended validation. So extended validation is really what it does, and why I say Microsoft's really to blame for it, is when you look at extended validation, the only difference between standard and extended now, and I don't even think there is much of a difference, other than this is organizations only and this one's individual. But with extended used to be a smart screen submission. So when you go to download Windows utility, like let's say I had an executable hosted on like GitHub or something, you'd go to download it immediately over here in the downloads bar. It would say, this is malware, or scan this executable because it's not trusted, because you didn't pay the $300 a year. So it immediately just assumes it's malware. It doesn't actually scan it. It doesn't actually have anything for it. My piece of software has had code signing on it, and it's been run by thousands upon thousands of people for just the executable. The script itself has been run well over 1 million times now. And yeah, it still flags it. Still flags it as malicious. So I get a lot of hate mail for people that, pay $10 for an executable. And then they're like, oh, you're trying to infect me with malware. And I'm like, no. That's not what this means. It's a code signing thing. So I have standard validation on my stuff. And if you do get my executable, let's say you didn't get it from me and you got it from like a friend or something, obviously I don't really care. I mean, heck, you can just run this program from PowerShell. So, or you could just honestly, if you wanted to go back and you're a Rust dev, you could just literally copy what I just showed on my screen on how to build and do the main RS and just build your own executable just shown on using this stream. And I don't care. You can do both those things. But when you right click the executable file, you can actually see the signature. So this tells you, this is something that I made, I packaged it. I am the one that I know, hey, when you see this on the executable, it's from me. So that's the big thing about the digital signature code sign. But antiviruses still flag it. Just because of the nature of antiviruses in Windows, I don't know if they actually scan or do much a lot of times. I'm not convinced. I feel like they just have this giant money $ racket going on, and you have to pay the $300 and to do this validation. Now, speaking of the validation, let's get into that. I know this is kind of wild. So you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, Titus, how does a 20-year-old make executables that are trusted in Windows? You don't. If you don't have thousands of dollars and probably 2 or 3 months to kill, you're not doing an extended validation or even a standard validation anymore. Standard validation you used to be able to do pretty easily, but no longer. Extended and standard, for all intents purposes, are almost the exact same now. So what happens during this validation process after you pay the ransom, which I'm going to just call it a ransom because that's what I feel like it is. This is just extreme for validating and just putting a signature on a file. I get why they do it, but this is basically how a lot of antivirus flag stuff is. Like, hey, is it a trusted source? Did they pay up or didn't they? If they didn't, then let's go ahead and flag it. And I'm salty. I'm real salty on that, but that's just how it works. And I get it. And fair or not, that's just how EV validation works. Now, the validation process itself is weird. So I remember I went through it. I had to register my company as an LLC. That's the CT Tech Group. And honestly, that was fine. I already did that like a couple years back, just in case somebody like wanted to sue me from like YouTube or whatever, and just like, hey, Titus, I don't like your face and it caused me mental anguish, so I'm going to sue you. There's weird people out there, and I've gotten emails from those people. So, it's good to have some kind of protection through like an LLC. So I set up that, that's, you get an attorney, and the attorney sets up that through the Department of Commerce here in America. Wherever you're at, it may be more or less of a taxing process. And then once you have all that set up, then you have to submit your company to a listing service. Now, I can't remember the name of the listing service that the Komodo and OpenSign and all them use, but it's a business listing service that has like your address and other stuff. So you have to give all that information to the listing service and wait for it to get listed after you've established an LLC or even a corporation, partnership, whatever your company's set up as. Then you set that listing up, and then once it's listed over here, and it's also over here with your company registered with your government, then they'll validate this stuff. Now, the validation has gotten trickier in the past year after all this is done. You also now have to have a secure USB token. Now, there's a lot of different delivery methods, but you'll probably notice real quick, oh boy, what a racket. They're saying if you get the USB token and shipping, it's $90. And then you notice the shipping goes up drastically. Now, we're talking just like a YubiKey kind of situation here. So this is just drop it into like a padded envelope and send it out kind of thing. About $5 in expedited shipping, maybe $10 if you really put a hot rush on it. But it jumps up $40 or $50 for the shipping. This is just insanity to me. Or you could install an existing HSM, which I'm going to try and do when I go for the renewal here, because I'll try to renew my standard validation that I had, which was an OV cert. And we'll see what happens. I don't know how that'll go, but I'll try that and see if that's trusted or not. Because I at this point, I'm just like, I don't know. Or maybe I'll just pay the extra bit and just say, I already have the organization set up and I've already jumped through most of these hoops. I might as well upgrade to extended validation for an extra couple $100 for 3 years. But by doing all of this, once you get to the end of the road, you'll have that signature on all your executables, and then eventually you'll get enough trust with the antivirus programs to when people download your stuff, it won't be flagged as malware in the downloads folder. So I say all that for the code signing thing. It is just completely wild. And that's Windows executables in a nutshell, and what you have to do from a developer standpoint if you're selling a product. If you're selling like an executable file, that's what you got to do. Now, most of the times on my executable files, most of my viewers, I'd say, are more on the technical side of things. So a lot of times they're just like, hey, Titus, we love what you're doing with the utility. Here's $10. And if I give them an executable, they're like, cool. They may use it. They may not use it. Very few people do, but I still get the occasional, probably, I'd say 1 email a day from someone that buys it that is less tech savvy that goes, hey, it's a virus. And I'm like, no. So for me, is it worth $1,000 and all this headache? Probably. Just so I don't get that email with people thinking that I'm installing a virus on their computer. And, I don't want people thinking that. And whether they're obviously tech savvy people don't, but I don't want non-tech savvy people thinking that I'm doing that. And that's exactly what they assume because that's what they've been told their entire lives. And this is the inner workings of executable files in Windows and also in the antivirus industry in general. It's shocking that they don't actually scan stuff a lot of times. They just assume things are not right or malware directly because someone hasn't paid this and gone through all these hoops. Now, I have paid and gone through a lot of these hoops and have standard validation already, and it still gets flagged in a lot of antiviruses. So to show that too, because probably the best way to showcase this is like virustotal.com and then submitting it. So we'll choose the file. Let's go into downloads and submit this code signed file. Now, this is not currently flagged, but yet Defender did flag it because I didn't pay for extended validation. I only have standard validation. So that does exempt me from a lot of virus scans. But let's see if we can rerun this or reanalyze and see what happens. This was 1 day ago. Nothing flagged it. Now let's go through and see if anything does flag it this time around because Defender did flag it. And does Defender in here? Yeah, Microsoft says undetected on the virus total. So maybe virus total's not being 100% on this. So maybe virus total missed it. I guess in this instance, it does look like it missed it. Let's copy the file and paste it in another part of the folder and then have, okay, that one looks like it's fine. So let's go scan with Defender. File scan, 0 threats found. Okay, so that one does look like it went through. So that was that one. And then the new one from DigiCert. Oh, look, it went and deleted it. That's funny. So it did grab that one. So it initially flagged it as whack attack and then deleted it. And then now it's all of a sudden not deleting it. It's very weird how Defender and a lot of these AVs are doing it. And code signing does play a big factor into the download and scanning of it. Sometimes it flags it, sometimes it doesn't. And then let's just run it and see what happens. So this smart screen, to get rid of this, that's the EV scanning. So we'll run anyways. See what happens. So yeah, that does work. Okay, cool. So it didn't really kick up much of a fuss there or flag it all of a sudden. So it could be extra reputation is starting to happen. Another big thing that I did here, which let's quit out of Windows, come back into GitHub now. I wanted to showcase this because this is kind of cool as well. So we talked a little bit about code signing, how the executable is done, just built using Rust, which super simple to make. Thank you, Rust, for making executables so easy to build, and integrating icons and stuff in Rust was incredibly simple for it. And the cross compile is probably the most complex portion of this program. So this was all I was needing to do. And then this is the main program. And then for the build process, this was the cross compile, saying cross compile for Windows, and then also integrate the Windows icon. So really two really simple functions to make. And that was all I did to build it. Now, this is where it gets really wild. So I also wanted the people to have code signing for the Windows utility, but I also wanted to code sign through GitHub. I know, I'm getting greedy now, right? So we got the people that pay money, and then we got the traditional software development. So if I wanted to charge $100, I could do that, right? Like a normal company would probably charge you for, or fleece you down for. But obviously I still want to give it out for free through GitHub. So what I did was make an action, and this is also shut down because my code signing cert expires, or my original standard validation expires next year. I think it's like around April or May or something. Zao, thanks for the sub, man. 5 months, tier 1. All right. How you doing? Appreciate you. This is really cool. So I've obviously been just obsessed with CI/CD lately, and it's just really neat. So during the compile phase, I changed this out. And if we look at this code, let's go back and look at how I changed it. You will notice something. In workflows, compile. When the compilation happens, I went ahead, and I'm just a madman. This is what took like 10 hours of back and forth. So to do code signing by itself using like the tools that are given to you after you pay the $1,000, they're not very straightforward, and code signing can be a little tricky. Now, what I really wanted to do is take this up a notch for complexity. And I wanted to import a PFX file into GitHub and then use my private and public keys to sign it. But I needed to do it in secret using GitHub environmental variables. And then, since I can't actually upload files to GitHub, I have to put it to base64 and then take that base64 file, compile it into a PFX file, so then it can sign the files, then upload any artifacts that happen during this GitHub action, and then sign the actual WinUtil.ps1 file that is compiled every single time the issue is done, and then upload and compile once that compilation's done. And then we will be able to have a signed, hey, this was made by me, WinUtil file. That would also be, hey, when you're running IRM Chris Titus, that's wild. Wait, is there somebody in chat said, Datha says, there is a code signing by 10-year and 129 1-year SSL cert. That can't be that can't be code signing. I'll look at it, Dathis. That's interesting. So anyways, I got it done. Needless to say, I spent a lot of time doing this just for it to work for like 8 months, 8 to 10 months. And it breaks because it's now going to require a hardware key. And I don't really have a way of, and this is something I'll have to think about next year. How do I take the hardware key and then sign the compiled code and do it that way. But to check the compiled code, which is kind of a important step, let's do that. So what we'll do is I'm going to just download it and show you how to check if something's signed. So we'll take our releases. Uh-oh, what happened? All right, well, apparently my pass-through kind of crapped the bed there for a second. All right, we'll take the latest release, which this is the very first code signing release, which I did 2 days ago. So we got that in our downloads folder. So what we can do is go into downloads. If we do a listing, you can see that WinUtil.ps1 is what we want to run. So I think it's git, and then I can't remember the exact, let's see. Oh, it's authorization, I think it was. Yeah, author code signature. And then I think you have to do like a file path, PS1 logic. All right. And you'll see now it all is signed with a signer certificate as if it came from Microsoft itself. And I shouldn't, hopefully, next time someone runs something and they go IRM Chris Titus Win and run it, it would run the signed code from me. I'm authorizing and saying, hey, Microsoft, everything's there. Here's my signature for the script. So hopefully that cuts down on people that are just doing it through PowerShell getting flagged. It's an insane process, though. I wanted to overview this. I know that was a little bit high level, but I really wanted to jump into the weeds just to kind of show people how ridiculous it is. So let's go SSL certifications code signing that Dathis did just to see. Maybe that would be better, because honestly, if it's not $1 million here, I totally would. All right, let's go code signing certificates. They're 65 bucks a year. Okay, that's not bad. Let's go buy now. Did you mention about the project and 1 million downloads? No, I didn't really. I posted on Twitter, Caleb, about that. I think also, I think I just did a bulk, just social media post. Thoughts about Transcript? Christian, I love Transcript. It's awesome. It's one of my favorites, man. Let's see. So there is 10 years. Select the monthly or annual signature volume, and then extra credentials purchase for $20 a month. Why are they charging $300 for a YubiKey? Whoa. Holy crud. I mean, that's not bad for a 10-year, but what is happening here? And I don't know what this e-signer is, but it's gotten so strange on how they're doing. New certificates will receive 30 days free of e-signer cloud signing. So you buy the certificate. Maybe I would need to do the, so I pay the 600 something bucks for 10 years for the cert. And then I could also do a e-signer thing per month and just pay $20 a month. So then I could sign the PS1 file still, even after the current SSL expires. That's a possibility. I mean, but man, it just seems very, very dirty, this whole process. This is interesting, though. I appreciate you showing me. That does look like an actual code signing cert that would be valid. And that's kind of interesting. Why? So this is OV and individual validation. It doesn't say anything about smart screen filter. So you probably would want to do, so if you want to get around smart screen filter, then you would do the code signing. Where's that? They always make this. So you'd probably go EV cert, and that's, yeah, $250. That's still a pretty good price for EV certification. I know that sounds crazy, but if you go buy now, EV, yeah, you can only do 3 years with EV, extended validation. But it's still a pretty, I mean, compared to what I've been seeing, $747 for 3 years is probably one of the better ones. But then as soon as you add your YubiKey in there, all of a sudden that's now $1,026 because they don't have any other delivery mechanism. So it's not actually cheaper. That's actually about $100 or $200 more than what I was going to do. Wild. Absolutely wild. Complete robbery and completely unacceptable. Yeah, and I mean, Microsoft helped perpetrate this. I don't know why this is, I mean, think about how much innovation this stifles. When I think of a coder sitting there just jamming away 12, 14 hours a day, it's not 40-year-olds like me. I mean, sure, that does exist, but we're towards the end of our careers, if we're being honest. And then, it's the 20 and 30-year-olds. And if you go back to when I was 20 and 30 years old, there's no way in hell I could afford that. 1,026. Heck, I could even eat 3 squares a day. I was practically raiding the company fridge and stealing people's food because I couldn't eat. Much less afford $1,000 for some EV cert. That's just insane. But now that I've burned your eyes out with that, let's get to a dark theme. I have Dark Reader right up here. You can see the icon. Sorry. Let me turn that back on. I wanted your eyes to bleed just so you could feel it. Yeah, and that's the funny part about all this is it's like the mafia going, you need to pay for protection. I don't see a difference between the two, because like, the old school, the mafia would go into these small shops and say, you need to pay for our protection. And then if they didn't, they'd come back through and like break your ankles kind of thing and bash up your shop. That's pretty much what Microsoft's doing here, because if you don't pay for the EV validation, they smash up your executable and make it look like a virus, so all your end users think that you're infecting computers. I could pull up my email right now and show you 10 emails within the last 7 days where people were saying, hey, there's a virus in your executable. Hey, probably if we go into the issues of GitHub, I bet there's one there. Or somebody saying, hey, Defender has got it. Let's see. I think this is that's the executable one. It says threat secured. It's been infected with malware, generation, Trojan, other. Don't use Avast, guys. Oof. I feel bad for that person. Don't use Avast. That's just awful. Anywho, let's see. What else we got? Let's just hit up Defender, because I know let's go issues and just say Defender. The script is being blocked by Windows antivirus. When was this? Last week? Here you go. More proof. So I was hoping to avoid this by, one, paying the ransom, and then also doing signature and all the validation and playing nice. But I mean, wow. That is wild, is it not? Yeah. So there you go. And then the other thing that kind of makes me mad is I don't know if these scanners actually do anything. Every single scanner, the Trojan changes. Now it's CASDIT, where before it was Whack Attack. And then I'm like, the code hasn't changed in these PS1 files. It hasn't. It's the exact same code. The only difference that I can see with CASDIT, maybe there's correlation with this running, it looks like Windows 10 if I was a betting man, because he's running in PowerShell executable, so it's Windows PowerShell, where I think probably Whack Attack is probably a flag from PSCH or PowerShell Core, and that's a whole different bag of worms. It's PowerShell 7, but it is wild, and it's frustrating. But again, this script's out there for free, and I'm just a open source dev really at this point. So, I mean, it's not like I care that much, but I'm thinking of like small businesses and up and coming developers that are way more talented than me, making amazing executables and contributing and doing cool stuff. I mean, for them to go through all this stuff just to list something and maybe not even get through all these antivirus flags, it feels like Windows is dictating what can run on your PC, but not actually protecting you at all. They're basically saying, hey, if you're not this giant company that's paid tons of money through an EV cert, and then maybe even some back-end dollars, I don't even know. I mean, it feels really dirty. It's already really dirty, mafia-esque like, that I've just explained. Is there even more on the back end? Maybe. I mean, you could say there's proof of that when you install a fresh version of Windows, and then all of a sudden it already has the Facebook app and all these other ones. Well, those big companies paid millions of dollars to have that software installed on the PC right out of the gate. So you could make the case that Windows dictates what is installed on the PC, and the user has almost no say in what is actually installed on it other than disabling this stuff. I mean, it's just seeing the underbelly of software development like this in Windows blows my mind. And it's just so much jank and corruption. And I don't know what to do other than just keep powering through. At this point, I'm just like, how deep does the rabbit hole go? I'm just kind of over the moon about it. I'm not mad or anything. I'm just shocked at this point. I'm like, wow. Wild. Just wild. Yeah, and most AV software is just completely garbage as well. Yeah, to do the PowerShell script as an executable AH is already done. But if you wrap it as a PowerShell script, like I've done, it gets detected. There is another method to get around this, which there's always a way. That's the cool thing. I love challenges, and this is a really big challenge. So I've really enjoyed, honestly, the code signing challenge because it wasn't easy. But now I'm kind of like, man, it really wouldn't be that hard to do a conversion of the script in from PowerShell commands to translate like the JSON files into using .NET Framework on C#. We've actually already done that a while back. Do we have that still? I'm kind of curious. I know that we're kind of going off the rails here, but there was a old repo, and I don't know if this is on this. I think it was like almost a year ago now. Let's see if in the GitHub, I don't even have it on here, but I think I did a private GitHub repo of it because I was just kind of wanted to workshop it. Let's clone an existing repo, and I think I called it Win1Shot, if you remember that. So Win1Shot, let's clone that. Now this, I was kind of diving into C# and .NET, which was weird. And what it did, let's see if it even still runs. Because back in the day, this was all CLI based, meaning the idea behind Win1Shot is you just click it on a main PC and it would just run the entire tweaks and everything, just go. So let's pull it up real fast. The whole point of C# was because of the .NET libraries, it could integrate more tightly with Windows. So that was the idea. Now, Visual Studio Community? Huh, I don't have Community on here. Okay, let's install it real fast. So, interesting. Yeah, I absolutely hate the whole, like, let's make everything a subscription. That's just wild to me. Like, there's a lot of money in software, and you don't need to make it pay to play forever to do software. You can say, hey, I can make something that's supporting Windows 11. Let's say I was big bad corporate Titus, right? Let's put on the business cap. And I was like, hey, I'm going to make all this closed source and sell it online for whatever. If you did that, let's say you charge $20. And let's say you lose 90% of the viewers, right? Or users right now. You'd still have probably 10,000 users or something. And 10,000 times $20 would be, God bless, or actually probably be 100,000 if it was 90% of the users. So there's about 1 million users in 3 months, 1 million runs. Let's just call that like 10% of the users. So 100,000 users probably running it 10 times. Feels a little bit of a stretch, maybe more than that. Anyways, yeah, let's just say 10,000 users, just as it's easy to do the math. At $20, that's $100,000. Or that's actually, no, that's $200,000. That's a lot of money on just 10,000 users at 20 bucks. Do you really need to charge a monthly fee? Hell, you could charge $50 and that still feels a lot better than paying $5 a month over the course of a year forever. That's $60 a year. So let's say you just charge 50 bucks for those 10,000 users. Dude, I mean, that's $500,000. That's insane. Why are these big companies charging every single month forever? I don't understand. You should never buy a piece of software where you have to pay to play on the software forever. Because to support that piece of software for 5 years, well, I mean, the support would probably add up and eat into your cost. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into that. Anyhow, While I'm thinking about this, let's install this development toolkit. Yeah, you shall own nothing and like it. I just don't think that. You should own everything and not pay anything per month. If you have a monthly bill, you should figure out a way to get rid of that monthly bill. I hate subscriptions every month. I like to do one-off payments for everything that I can. Visual Studio 2022. Sure, there we go. Let's install that bad boy. Shareholders, maximize profits. So true. Oh, check it out. Here's the progress bar that was added as well. So if you do a bulk install now, you can do the progress bar. What do you think of this tool, unattended generator? I think I just, is it an executable? Because a lot of times I think I just used like a website to generate unattended a lot of times. Yeah, the more complicated PR I'll probably do offline. The search bar is messed up. Oh, well, I guess it was a little bit off there. I mean, it still worked. It just didn't look all the best. If we look, I honestly like looking at this screen, but you know, to each his own. Do you think about Manifest v3 and ad blocking in Chromium? Yeah, I mean, everyone's gonna find a way to block ads. There's still like pie holes and things like that you can install that would do it as well. Ad blocking will always be a thing. Now, I do think YouTube will do baked in ads and then do that. But on YouTube, you know, I am on YouTube right now, so please take this with a grain of salt. And if someone from YouTube's watching me, don't sue me, bro. I honestly think they kind of figure out with what creators, when you make videos, like they figure out what they can pay you and that you're like, okay, I'm going to churn out daily or weekly content for X amount of dollars. Now, I've always been more of a hobbyist when it comes to being a YouTuber. I never really thought it was a job. And I've always been like, I've just enjoyed making videos and I've loved just looking at metrics and the different stuff. But it does feel like with all the waxes and wanes of YouTube over the years, which I've done YouTube for over 5 years, it feels like they find like this sweet spot and go, you know, that's pretty much a livable wage. We're just going to pay him that no matter what happens to his content. Like I've had plenty of stuff go viral and millions of views. So, I mean, I'm appreciative of people watching my stuff for sure. But it does feel like they aren't giving creators really a fair shake. I don't know if they actually pay what they say they pay. Like the 55-60 split, 60-40 split, whatever the hell it is. I'm not sold that they aren't taking a bigger cut of that. Because I look at it, I'm like, this is kind of sus. I remember I jammed out like 3 or 4 million views in a month and my revenue didn't change that much. And I was like, that's kind of odd. And I mean, again, I'm not going to harp on that, but I do think there's some more shenanigans going on in the background than a lot of people know. Where do I get the stream music from? Harris Heller makes a bunch of copyright free stuff and then puts it online. I think it's Stream Beats is what he calls it. Now, I think now we have Visual Studio. We should be able to take this, go into my project. There should be like an SLN file, I think it is. And then open with Visual Studio, always. And then I think that should open up the entire project. .NET desktop development. Yes, install that. We do need that. Yeah, that's the thing, Razzle. Is yeah, the big thing about YouTube is you just kind of trusting them that, hey, are these analytics correct? Is the ad rates really what they say are? I mean, it's still by far, don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on YouTube here. I'm just noticing a little bit of a pattern after 5 years. It's still probably the best social media to make money on, for sure. So I'm not hating on it. I think it's cool that it's an option in 2024. I just couldn't imagine relying on it for my main source of revenue. I don't think I could ever cross that bridge. I get a lot of emails too from people that think that like I have a giant team of people behind what I do here. I am very much a one-man show and I just kind of do this part-time. It's just kind of a tossed together type solution here. There is no Titus Tech team except for maybe all the contributors and stuff over on GitHub. But as far as like content creation goes, I am the editor, the on-screen, the back end, the finance, everything. nuts to bolts, everything's me. And I like it that way. That's not to complain. That is, I just like it that way. I don't want to hire anybody. I don't want to, managing people sucks. I enjoy doing all the facets of it. I like video editing. I think it's really a different kind of creative outlet, which is really neat to kind of see different kind of cuts. I'm still terrible at it, but I like doing it. The finance side of things and just business administration and understanding all that. Well, I've set up a ton of businesses. I understand a lot of, standard operating procedures and setting up and standardizing everything so then you can get faster and hit more efficiencies in your workflow. I'm obsessed with that too. So there's that side of me that goes, oh, that's neat. How fast can I make a video? Which the answer to that question is about 42 minutes. Meaning of life. If there's like a hot topic or like a cloud strike of the day, it takes me about 42 minutes to record the video. If it's like a 5-minute video, edit it down, post it, thumbnail it, all of it. Nuts to bolts, less than an hour. So I can do it all usually in a bit. Now, is it the best video in the world? No, but it's good enough for YouTube. And I have a very efficient workflow, which is kind of cool. Hey, Chris, is there a solution for Linux dual monitor with different refresh rates? That's a tricky one. You may in Wayland be able to get away with it. I'm not sure if I've never even tried it on different refresh rates because it's a kind of a dicey endeavor. I would probably say no to that question, Twinkle, but you could probably hard code it in there using X11 on Wayland. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about Wayland to really speak to it. Ooh, Git Copilot. Sure. The project is targeting a version of .NET, which is not installed. Sure, let's install it. What version did I do on this one? .7. And then let's grab the new JSON file and see if it actually goes. It'd be interesting. Oh, 8.0's LTS. We can upgrade it after this. It's been a while since I ran the tweaks. We'll have to download a new JSON file and see how it does. Because when we were doing the C# and grabbing it, what I wanted to do for Win One Shot is I still wanted to open source everything on the back end so everybody can see the tweaks. But I wanted to make it so like the idea behind it was like maybe like a distribution at like a business or like a giant like 1,000 user kind of setup. And just be able to push out like an executable once and just run it one time and then just have it set all the settings without any user intervention. That was the idea between one shot. We did it about a year ago and I got it. I think I got it working and everything. I just didn't quite get some of it. Let's see. We still have some dependency things. Let's see what packages we're missing. PowerShell SDK. I think those will build. Let's see. Let's just hit update. See what we got. All right, well, let's build and run it, I guess. Before we go crazy here. So the idea behind this, there should be like a JSON. No, I did not see it in here. I think we just build the executable and then we ingest the JSON file. Let's build it and see what happens. Hell, I want to see if it just builds. There were build errors. Would you like to run the last successful build? Yeah, sure. Yeah, couldn't find it. Okay. Didn't think so. So what happened here? We're missing a dependency. Where to start? It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I looked at Visual Studio. I'm like, all right, we got these. Let's run it from console. CLI. Sometimes I look at that stuff and I'm just like, oh, let's go Win One Shot. GitHub. Win One Shot. There we go. Git pull. I think if we go to my project, we can do .NET run. I think it was. Okay. Unable to find package power. Okay, so we're missing these packages. Packages don't exist. ID, Visual Studio offline packages. Best way to sleuth. Can't remember the NuGet commands for this crap. Huh. Yeah, I don't think we actually, I think we got the version installed, but I think we're just missing packages. I remember I had to do like a NuGet for the build process and get the package itself because those .NET libraries aren't in here. And I might be screwing up the terminology here. I just remember doing it. a year ago and then not coming back to it. A lot of times I like my YouTube videos because sometimes I do something, sometimes really complex, and then I just lose it after a couple months. I'm just like, what was I doing here? It's like when you play a video game like Witcher or something, you know, and you're like exploring the world and you're like halfway through the game and then you like just drop it and then pick it up like 6 months later and you're like, so what command attacks again? Where do I go? That's where I feel like I'm at on this project, but I do think we can solve this pretty easy. .NET Restore? What's .NET Restore? I don't think I've ever specified the project or solution file, so it could use, I think we can just do win one shot, right? CS project, or no, probably my project SLN would probably be the one to go. Determining projects to restore. Oh, that's kind of a cool command. I did not know about that. Thank you, Nico. Yeah, so I think it's the system itself as it's missing the dependencies. Let's just grab it. Let's grab a little bit. And kind of what I like to do is, let's just go, let's just come on over here. Well, I don't even remember what we're doing in here. Let's just ask the old LLM gods. You know, I like to make fun of them, but a lot of times I'm like, this makes things pretty easy. It kind of gets me in the right frame of mind and usually give me a little hint. Just need a little hint. That's all I need. Old Jippity. Although I think lately we've been using, what have we been using lately? Sonnet. Yeah, we've been using Sonnet a bunch. So GPT 4.0, let's see what happens. Let's just paste that in there. Yeah, tools, NuGet, package manager setting, packages, ensure that, restore package man. Okay. So go there, package manager settings. Let's see what we got. That kind of gets me where I need to be. So what was it? Tools and package manager settings. So there's the settings, but I think if we go back into tools, this is where I need to go. So here's the package managers. Can I like install these? It says it's installed, but I don't think it is. Like these are things I built, but I need to rebuild these. Let's just give a little more prompt here. Ensure API NuGet v3 index.json file is setting there. Let's see. I don't think those will rebuild though. Let me, oh, I keep forgetting I'm on Windows. Let's go settings, configuration, package sources, NuGet. Can we update from that? Okay. I like it. Updates 5. Select all. Update. About to make the callings. Okay, yeah, apply it. Come on, let's go. Okay. That didn't work. Update. But yet it does not go. All right, why? Cog, top right. Oh. Oh, that would have got us there a lot sooner. Oh, thank you. Package source says it's an offline source. Oh, how did I do this? I wish I didn't wipe out my build environment back in the day. It's just been so long. Sucks rebuilding this stuff. Especially since I don't know what the hell I'm doing compared to what it was. I am installing in .8. Try to run .NET Restore again. Okay, let's try it again. .NET Restore. Oh, well, it's doing something. Oh, okay. Cooking. No errors yet. That looks promising. So now if we run it, I don't know where it's grabbing that JSON file from, though. You're debugging a release using just my code release. Just continue. All right. Ooh, hot reload. That sounds fancy. Stop debugging. It's kind of cool. Can you send me a project? I'll try. No, Caleb, this is my baby. I love just seeing like behind the chat here. This is process memory, just churning out. It looks like it's 76 or something. It's kind of interesting. We have some exception thrones, other stuff. Interesting. I kind of want to see what happens from terminal. Oh, it does look like it worked. So interesting. Okay, so this did look like it was still functional. So let's go publish, runtimes. What is it? Win. Where was this? It's so jank. Where are you at? Build. I think it was under final actually. No. That's not it. Where is this at? All right, let's go .NET build. What is, I might be thinking Rust here. Let's go .NET Run. Oh, yeah, I haven't actually built the binary. I'm thinking you got to create the package in C# using Visual Studio. This runs it, though. Yeah, .NET Publish. That's right. Thank you, Pud. So this is what it was doing before, and we were referencing all using .NET libraries. I got almost all of it done. It still looks like it works. I probably should not run this on my VM instance before doing a backup, but whatever. Just test and prod. It's all good. Where's this JSON file? I want to change it out because what it should do, if we look at, where's that JSON? Tweaks JSON. So this is what it's grabbing. Now, what I want to do, let's just rename this to old tweaks and let's grab the new tweaks. So the idea behind this was, let's go GitHub WinUtil, is to grab just the tweaks section of the script. We go scripts, not scripts, config actually. Grab all the configuration. So all the changes we've made in the past year is right here in this tweaks JSON file. So we just grab it. You can see it went from 60 kilobits to 100 and something. So I bet we run into a problem here. I would be shocked if it worked. It may, but I doubt it. So we had 65 kilobytes in the JSON file in the tweaks, but now it's 101. Let's see what this looks like on a .NET Run. Again, this JSON file it ingests is going to be completely different. So, of course, we got an error. Null reference exception. Object reference not set in instance of object. So what happened here was during the ingestion of the new tweaks.json, we had an issue. If we look at program CS line 22, let's go to the main program and let's go to line 22. How the hell do you even see anything in JSON in this? Where's line 22? Where's line numbers in this thing? Can you do line numbers in here? I guess maybe it's like a toddler where you have to like do a go to step into. It's probably like a hotkey and then you type in the line number, I bet you. Bottom left of code view. Okay. So bottom. Oh, I see it. I see it. It's right here. Okay. So that's line 15. So 20, 22. Okay. So registry tweak is where it looks like it bombed out. Interesting. What's up with you not using Vim? I'm terrible at coding in Vim. I am just straight up awful. A lot of times I like to use VS Code when I'm coding. When I'm not coding and I'm doing like system changes, I'm always using Vim. But for coding some odd reason, I just don't get it. I find it's way easier using pretty much anything but Vim when I'm coding, which I know that's blasphemy. Don't shoot me. They pulled him in again. That's true. I've been adopted. Control G will take you to the line, by the way. Thank you, PN. I knew there was something like that. Yeah. I was like, I know there's a hotkey for this because our devs will definitely have something like that. Build for debug and then go by line. It's the ingestion of the JSON where it's having the problem. During the tweaks run, it's grabbing these tweaks, but how do we debug it on this? Dude, I don't know. Let's just start debugging and see what happens. So let's show events maybe. Program line 14. So if we go object reference not set for instance. Okay. Let's ask Copilot. It's not going to do anything. Copilot's awful for this type of thing. Oh, it's currently in release. Left click the top, far left bar from the arrow currently is. So far left bar. Where? I think when you go into the tree view, right? Or Solution Explorer. I think it was Solution Explorer actually over here. And then I think you could go like right click on properties of the project and then change the configuration here from a release to debug. Look at that. See, I still know a thing or two. Maybe. All right, let's go debug. You can't change the solution property. Oh, wow, oh yeah, my bad. Let's stop that. It's cool. Like I said, I'm a complete noob here, so real base knowledge. So I'm just gonna be pecking around, but I kind of got an idea. Okay, so now we're in debug instead of release. It's like a maze. I know. So there's a bunch of different ways to get around things, but I love. You'd be shocked at how many people are really good with Visual Studio Code. So when we were doing this and making this program with all these different CS files, we were kind of going through, and this was a whole year ago now. So it'd have been last summer when we were building this out. And Twitch chat, it was just like so instrumental in fixing things. So there'd be certain things that would get replaced. So during the ingestion, during the JSON serialization, what would end up happening was there's these weird, like either tildes or whatever it might be, and we'd find those sequences and strip them out. So these were UTF-6 code units or something, and it would just replace these whenever it ingested the JSON file. I bet you there's something we've added to the JSON file that is tripping it up now, because we still have the old tweaks that works perfect. So we know the code's still good. It's just updating it because the JSON changed and there's a lot of stuff added that's probably awesome. So for debug, changing the bar above tabs, the release drop down. Tabs, the release drop down. So above the tabs, debug. Ah, I see what you mean now. I changed it for the solution, not here. That makes more sense. Thank you, bud. You changed the compile type for the release. You didn't switch. All right, well, thank you guys for correcting me. All right, so let's run it now on the debug. So now we have this stop at exception. And what would cause that? So object reference not set to an instance of an object. JSON registry tweaks to run was null. So it's pulling something in that's null and throwing an exception. How do we show call stack maybe? If you click the arrow to put that on that line. So for this statement, it will be executed to change the statement. Drag, it may have unintended consequences. So interesting to see everybody go back and forth here. It could also be the JSON file. We could look at the comparison. What if the JSON file is now, like maybe it was UTF-8 or something, and now it's UTF-15 on download or something? Maybe the file type itself, even though it's JSON in both, there could be things that were added to it. Maybe we need to do a cleanup of the JSON before it actually hits this tool. I haven't used a debugging tool, like at all. Hover where it is highlighted and you'll see what it says. So this says JSON registry tweaks to run null. So it's calling essential tweaks LOC right here. And I want to say as soon as that happens, it's trying to feed it a null object. Let's look at that JSON file. Maybe we, I think we relabeled things. I think this is actually an easier fix than I was thinking. Oh, yeah. That's totally what it is. Such an idiot. Just once. What do we got? Get out of here. Yeah, so we got WPF tweaks Hyper, WF tweaks JSON, but let's make sure we're calling essential tweaks. Let's reference this. WPF essential tweaks LOC. I want to see if this exists in here anymore. I think we changed the naming convention or something. Yes, that's totally what's happening. Essential. So where? WPF home. WPF tweaks LOC. I think, yeah, these got renamed. Okay, I got it. Sorry. All right, here we go. Let's stop this debug. I got a good idea. So we're going to take this tweaks LOC. Why did that change? I want to say just removing that. And I bet you all these have changed to like AH and that type of thing. Root does not contain the definition of AH. But when it ingests this tweaks.json file here, it should, this is the new one. So if we look at this, I bet you the ESS was removed. Yeah, let's see. Yes, that's totally what happened. So let's remove ESS from these tweaks. That did get changed. I need to be more conscious of these kind of changes when people do change them though. Let's look at tweaks UTC. I think that's also different. UTC. Yeah, it's just tweaks UTC now. That's what I was thinking. So if you look at miscellaneous tweaks UTC, it's WPF tweaks UTC, essential tweaks, DVR. And then I think Bing search is fine, actually. If you look for Bing search, Bing, yeah. Oh no, this is a WPF. Oh, that's right. We changed this to a toggle. Ah, I think we got to get rid of that because that has changed. So let's get rid of that line because it does break things sometimes just doing it globally. So that's more of a user by user basis. So if you're here and let's say, let's change that solution back actually before I forget about it. Configuration, release it, build. All right. So this is a debug right now. I want to say ingestion should happen. There were build errors. Do you want to run? No. What were the build errors? So no extensible method. JSON tweaks. Let's look at the registry CS file. Did I change these over here? How are we ingesting and looking at them? No, those are fine. Just getting my bearings again. Oh, okay. Dimcar is a stat. Let me look back through and see if... okay. C# is a strong typed. You must fix the typo of root as well. Oh, I get it. I think there should be a class root defined somewhere. So where would be the class root definition? So I think the definition happens right here when it pulls in the JSON and it does the serialization. Maybe not. Just press F2 on over. Okay. Navigate to symbol under the caret. Okay. Potential fixes. Okay. Accepting the first argument type root could be found. Control click on the type or right click and go to definition. So right click, go to definition. Cannot navigate. Maybe right click here, go to definition. So it's getting defined here during the JSON serialization. And it's pulling in the tweaks.json file, which I have right here. And that's why I renamed this, but maybe it's not able to ingest this new JSON file properly. Do it on the green word dot. Okay. All right. Go to definition. Oh, this is a whole different thing. I don't even remember making this. Okay. Oh, geez. Oh, goodness. I got it. Yeah. So parse.cs. I don't want to fix all that. That's a pain. So let's go to parse.cs over here. So, all right. Let's go. Hey, can you fix all these using tweaks.json? They are calling the wrong name and need to be fixed. So it's not just ESS. We also have ESS, miscellaneous. There's a whole bunch of different things going on here compared to what was in tweaks.json because the fundamental structure of the tweaks.json has changed in the past year with all the PRs and different stuff we've done and cleanup. So I'm hoping it can query the whole thing and then properly reference it without having to do a global search and replace. I would much rather it do that, but if it doesn't and bombs out here, which it doesn't look like it's going to bomb out, we're going to do the global replace. It has its uses. Will this work? Probably not, but I still like to put it through the motions just to see. Why are you using ChatGPT-4 instead of not the AI from the last stream? I don't know. It's a good question. Let's cancel generation. Let's switch over to Sonnet 3.5. Let's try it in Sonnet. Maybe Sonnet won't suck as bad as old Jippity. Yeah, for parses and stuff, I feel like this would be good. See how it just reads it, fixes it. Let's see if it gets rid of the Bing search at the bottom. Tweaks Bing search. I don't know about that. Not cool. It's close. It's close to what I want. So, yeah, okay. Apply. Okay. Accept. So now we've fixed the parse. I mean, fixed. I still think there's some things that have changed or been added that needs to be removed. Specifically, the one thing I'm worried about is Bing search, because I know that has just been changed to a toggle, and I'm not sure we can ingest that quite the same way. So let's look at the tweaks JSON real fast. See, it's not there. Smoking crack, bro. So this tweaks Bing search. Let's get rid of that. Let's look for tweaks Bing search. Let's get rid of it here. Let's look for other unreferenced stuff. I think it should probably give me some color coding to help. Yeah, right here. The tweaks consumer, home gallery, remove copilot, all of that. These are new tweaks that didn't exist a year ago. So we just need to add these classes, the public classes for that. I think, let's see. Yeah, I think we can just go add public classes. I feel like that should get us where we need to be. Yes. You can also directly use the JSON with the out of type. It's easier for you right now. I can help. Interesting. So we'll see if this generation works, and if not, I'll take you up on that. This is just, is this VS Code or are we using cursor? Nah, this is cursor. So if we look at this, let's come back to the code added. We now have the new public classes. This varies depending on the JSON entry. So that's why I did it this method. That does look great though. So now looking back, our root in the parse.cs should be good. Now this tweaks.disable FSO, I can't remember what that is. That does look interesting. Let's make sure that's in our tweaks as well. That is. Okay. Yeah. Oh, full screen optimization. Yeah, that was added like 6 months ago. That's another one. Okay. So now our parse is fixed. I feel like this would just run now. I think it was just a structural change I did in the past year where I was like, oh, I don't know why, but I just kind of like running it from CLI. Okay. That's close, but not quite there. So the root does not contain definitions for essential tweaks services, essential tweaks telemetry, essential tweaks debloat. So we're missing a few things. Let's look at the parse CS for that and see if those were in there. I know I'm kind of doing this backwards, jumping between all these different IDEs. A little maddening, I know, for many, but I did want to look. ESS is not here. So where are those referenced? Where are you referencing that? Program CS, line 37, line 53, and line 70. All right. So Control G, thank you. So line 37. Oh, let's go to Program CS. Sorry. Can we just close other tabs? All right, let's clean this up a little bit. All right, now let's go line 37. Yeah. Okay. Tweak services, telemetry. Was there only 3 really? It's kind of wild. I thought honestly we'd have more errors. As the program itself, we've changed so much. Oh, I remember doing the unpin menu portion too. Revisiting this is wild. So this is actually pretty good now. We only got 2 warnings, and that should be good. Did I not hit the save button? Save button helps. Okay, so then that'll change all the services, run all the tweaks as it has been updated to today using the Win one shot. Now, let's build the executable, and then we can ingest like an old version of it too, so it will work. But yet I have to be very careful of how like the PRs and different changes to the structure of the tweaks.json. Control-Shift-B would also work. Thanks, one must. Yeah. Totally, Dim. I mean, you've been just a champ. Thanks for hanging in there. You know far more than me about C#. I am just a glorified script kiddie that has some like object-oriented type stuff from like in the 90s in my brain that's stuck in there and go, oh, you know what? This doesn't look right. Oh, that doesn't look right either. Let me fix that. Okay, now I get the idea. This is where it's referenced. These are libraries and depend. So I know all the basics of a language and kind of to hack around to get things built. It's just like a little bit funny. So whenever people watch me code, it's ugly, and I definitely make professional programmers cringe, but I like fun. Just an old utility. So Nav, this was originally built for the idea. It was just built for a personal project of mine where I wanted to deploy the tweaks from the Windows utility globally across any computer with just a push of a button. So let's do a build real fast. Control-Shift-B would build it. I want to say you could just do it from CLI as well. I can't remember. But let's go Control-Shift-B to build the project. And then I think we could just... I know in Rust, it just gives you a target directory. In this one, it puts it into bin release net 7. But we do need to update this to 8 as well. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Bin release net.7. And then we got all this. So then we got our win one shot down here and our tweaks JSON. So what this looks like for an end user, Gaiman, thanks for the prime. What this looks like for an end user is you just right click this. I don't even think you need to run it as admin because it's all .NET libraries. And I think we can get around pretty much all antivirus as well. Packing, this is the tricky part. Maybe Dim would know something about this. How do you get this release and then package it up into like a whole setup and install file? What's the best tool for that? That's not like an ungodly amount of money. That's the thing. So now we have all these DLLs. This isn't a self-contained executable, much like I would much rather self-contained, like Rust does such a good job of self-contained executables. Oh, love Rust so much for how clean it can make stuff. Where Visual Studio kind of, man, I don't know. I like the code in it. It's just sometimes the end product is maddening to me. It's mainly because I don't understand it though. You just do .NET publish command. Ah, okay. That makes sense. To upgrade to 8, you should find and replace net 7 with net 8, and that's it. Okay. So what this looks like for the end user, we just double click. It opens up in the terminal and runs on a fresh system. Now you see all these access denied errors. That's because it's not run as admin. So right now it's running all these app installs, but if we actually go in here and go run as administrator, you'll notice those will disappear. You also have a little bit different prompt, but in Task Scheduler, you can see it does now. Instead of having access denied to Task Scheduler, it does remove those. Fun fact here too, Microsoft has different, like when you run things as admin, a lot of times it will run an uninstalled machine-wide. Sometimes it's a user-based. It's kind of funky. I need to take some more, a little bit more things to heart there to clean that up and have fun. I don't know why I decided to mess around with this project today. I feel like it was chat's doing. Rust and C are the program's language for me fast. Yeah, I really like it. Rust was a little bit of a slow burn because there's so many like weird things about Rust. Like everything's immutable by default on a variable level. I was like, ugh, weird. But then you're like, okay, you just put mutt in front of everything and you're pretty much good. Well, obviously things that with variables that need the values changed. But it's really interesting and I really like it. But for this, like a Windows utility, I think you absolutely have to build it in C#, mainly because of the .NET libraries and interfacing directly with Microsoft. It just plays so much nicer. But it kind of makes me want to take this project too, now that I've said that, and go, can we hack around and build it in Rust? Like not using .NET? Is there like cargo stuff and other things that can interface and do the same thing, but in Rust? Probably. Will it be as clean? Maybe even cleaner. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I like just messing around. I wish I had time to learn Rust. I should stick with C. Yeah, well, I like to bounce back and forth between the two. And I'm just I love both languages. I know I've like completely fallen off on YouTube. You've changed. And I'd be like, yeah, I kind of have. Because I've really just enjoyed messing around on stream with programming languages and kind of diving deep and saying, hey, how much can I hack around and get stuff built? And everything I've really kind of tackled with Twitch chat, of course, has been amazing. The key here is I would drop like LLMs and all this other stuff that many other people use. But to me, Twitch chat or YouTube chat, you know, Dim's from YouTube chat. Thank you, Dim. A lot of those people screaming at me in chat are like the true heroes that are better than any other language learning thing you could do. It's really amazing to have someone like with probably, I don't know how many, like, let's take Dim for example. He's probably got like 5-10 years of C# experience, and he's able to go, look at this noob. Yeah, just look at your root definitions. Obviously, those are wrong. You see the red squiggly line underneath? Oh, geez. All right, let me type this out. And I love that. There's no better way to learn than having somebody that's already a master of their craft or somewhat of an expert to come in and just be like, hey, yeah, that's wrong. Where, like, let's say you go to a college. Now, obviously, depending on the college and the teacher, mileage will vary. But a lot of times, many of the teachers in the programming language side of things, I have yet to run into like a really gifted person or someone that really knows their stuff in that. Now, having said that, I went to community college, so you know, not exactly top tier in the teacher land. But I remember I got in there and I was like, I think I know more than my teacher, and I'm paying for this? Yikes. Okay. Yeah, I'd rather just go make my own thing. Sometimes you do get the retired guy, and I think that would probably be better. Probably the bigger universities are able to get the guys with like 20 or 30 years of experience and retired that do know a lot. However, in my personal experience, that was what I ran into, and I was like, eesh. My teachers were awesome. More than 10 different languages with the assembly to web. Not US, though. Yeah. That tracks. That definitely tracks. Hey, Chris, I used your WinUtil and I cut down my process to 100. I do have a small glitch where I can't click on the sound settings or change volume. I need to manually press FN keys. Woods, that's actually pretty easy. So probably this right here. And sometimes your notifications, I bet when you click on your clock, it doesn't give you anything. Does it give you anything when you click down here? Because I'll tell you what that is. Let's just fix it here. And then you can just copy it back at your computer. Dude, how many things did I have open? Oh, let's restart that. I feel like I should... Oh my God. You know what? This is back a year ago where, oh geez. Look at me and my noob self. I can even make fun of my year-old self. I'm still a noob, but my old year-old self was even a bigger noob. So let's go back into Win One Shot. 1 second. We'll approach it here in a second. My project. Let's go into Vim Git. Do I not have a Git ignore? Rookie mistake. Okay, here we go. Let's go. So we have this, which is fine. I started to do git ignore a year ago. Node modules. What did I just do? Like a blanket git ignore? I copied online? Probably. Oh, God bless me. Look, I have it. Oh, it's so close. You were right there, Chris. You were right there. Just a little bit more. You would have had it. Let's just get that start of line. My project. It's a little bit jank on that, but let's escape out that forward. Yeah, let's go my project. I think that's what it is from there. So close. Oh, lordy. Yeah, my project. Bless your heart. All right. Oh, my Vim's broken in Windows. Yeah. Whatever. Oh, C# project has default .gitignore files. That's what it is, Dim. Okay, that makes more sense. It was so close. It was almost there. But let's look back now. It's still... Well, I thought that would fix it. But it's still trying to submit all this like .vs. What is that? .vs, obj, cache. Like, it should not be submitting that to GitHub. I feel like that's wrong. All right, 1 second. Yeah, let's just do that. ** obj ** .vs. I like it. Why overcomplicate things? I agree. So now we look, and still grabbing the .vs and the obj. Huh? Why? Wait a second. I think I got an idea. I gotta fix my Vim. All right. Well, whatever. Let's just grab that get ignore. Let's open it a VS Code. What about, probably just needs a / on that, right? Or if you do it in Windows, is it different from Linux? I don't know. Yeah, it is. It is, Chris. That's the problem. So that probably, because Microsoft thinks of everything backwards, so we got to use backspaces maybe? Or backticks or backslashes, whatever you want to call them. Is that the problem? Negative. Oh, missing a dot. Okay, that was the problem. So it's .obj, .vs. Is it though? Oh, the VS is dot. OBJ is not though. I don't know. That is weird. Why is the get ignore not working? It's not OBJ, just VS. Oh, see, OBJ is right here. You would want to put your cache files from OBJ in there, right? No trailing backslash, okay. Or /. And probably this backtick probably is wrong too. Let's standardize it back. Even Microsoft's like, hey, I know they mean /, so I bet you that works. No. Huh. ** bin, ** that, ** .vs. That's what we have, right? I mean, honestly, ** bin should work as well. No slices at all, it should work. So if we just go no slice, no star, just OBJ, just plain Jane. Nope. Huh. That is strange. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the idea of going, I'm sure Git would honor the /. So I would imagine it would look something like this, but again, it doesn't, because what would happen is if you go add to get ignore, what does this look like? Let's just do that and then come back into get ignore. Look at the bottom. What is appended? What does it even look like when Windows does get ignore? See, it's my project.vs, my project build time. Okay. So if this is it, and you go, okay, well, obviously everything .star on VS. Save it. Then come back to here, and all the VS files are still there. How odd. Maybe double star, right? Why is it, what? Copilot, go home, you're drunk. So, still nothing. No, I don't think get ignore doesn't need to be pushed first, because what should happen when get ignore at least how it works on Linux. already seeing a flaw in my assumptions here. On Linux, it actually works live. You can actually see the files drop off. No need for *star. Okay. That is wild. Yeah, okay, you've seen files drop off in Windows as well. Why not stash them? I mean, you could. It doesn't matter. I was just sitting here kind of noticing something. I was going to update the project before we jump off. But that's kind of a crazy thing. Like, usually if you just do that, it'd be enough for this to just drop off on the VS. But alas, here we are. And if you add to the get ignore, or just let's ignore the folder, my project VS, what does that look like? So if you, let's say you add that, you can see my project VS gets done, right? And yet, when you save it, it's still there. Huh. Weird. Oh, I might have committed it right before. Yeah. You're probably right. Yeah, I think you are, actually. So anyways, this is fine. We'll just submit this. We're doing old tweaks, regular tweaks. We're just going to say 2024 update. Commit to main. Let's just get it. Push to main. I don't care. Whatever. It's all good. We've updated it to the latest and greatest. Had a little bit of a fun C# exposition. We'll probably get back to Rust soon. We touched on the start of the stream with Rust. Went over the Windows utility, executable, code signing, and then somehow we got into C#. I guess we wanted to see if the tweaks file still could be ingested by WinOneShot, that project. one day we got to come back to this project and really finish it. And I don't know when we're going to do that. That's an interesting. We wanted C. I don't even know how this got brought up. It's funny where these streams go sometimes. But having said that, we're going to jump off. It's 4 o'clock. I'm going to get out of here. I know I was a little bit of a head case today, kind of jumping around, but revisiting Win One Shot, getting all that updated. But we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is fun times. We'll probably continue on Windows Utility, but tomorrow we got to hit some big pull requests. There's a lot of commits to the project. As always, I love to see some new code. So we'll go through all that and we'll do that. That should be fun. We can raid Lena. That sounds good. All right, y'all. YouTube, see you guys later. I'm dropping off. Twitch, we'll just keep going after this.